Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wellness Matters talk this evening. My name is Nicole Imgrund, and I'm the owner and director of Rivers Edge Counseling Center here in St. Albert. I'm so excited about our talk this evening. Our facilitator is Dalal Abdulkareem, and the topic is cultural influences on mental health, unveiling the impact of cultural frames on our personal experience. It should be a rich, rich topic. This is part of a series of webinars that we have. We've got a few more still coming up this spring, so feel free to check them out on our website. You'll also see on our website that we have almost 100 talks that have already been recorded, and they're there for you to see anytime as a resource. And so I hope you will take advantage of that. And I will introduce Dalal to you now. Dalal is devoted to empowering individuals to navigate life's challenges with resilience and purpose. She has an undergraduate degree in psychology, and she has dedicated 4 years to supporting adults with disabilities in higher education and has been a member of the Rivers Edge team since this fall. She's one of our practicum students. She sees kids and teens and adults who come to us for a variety of reasons. And she has been an amazing addition to our team. In her approach to counseling, Dalal embraces curiosity as a guiding principle. And I can definitely say that comes through in my interactions with her and when she talks about her work with clients, that non-judgmental curiosity. She delves deep into her clients' life stories, uncovering profound insights and fostering meaningful connections. With a keen focus on self-awareness and reflection, Dalal enjoys guiding her clients on a journey towards a more enriched and authentic existence. So with that, Dalal, I'm going to turn it over to you. Dalal has said her presentation will be about 45 minutes long, and I'll be here if any support is needed, and we can touch base if there's any questions at the end. Okay.
Thank you, Nicole, for the lovely introduction. I'll start by presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today to discuss a topic that is deeply relevant to all of us, the intersection of culture and mental health. This subject is not only fascinating, but also critical, as it touches each of our lives in profound ways. Our exploration today centers around how cultural frameworks impact our mental health. These frameworks are not merely academic concepts, they are lived experiences that shape our everyday realities. They influence how we see ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we cope with challenges of life. Here's what we will cover in today's presentation. First, we'll delve into the interconnectedness of culture, identity, and mental health well-being. Here, we will see how culture is not just a backdrop of our lives, but actively influences our mental health and personal identity. Then we will look into cultural dynamics. So we will begin by exploring the significance of cultural practices. So understanding these practices helps us appreciate how deeply they are woven into the fabric of daily life and how they shape our interactions, behavior, and perceptions. Under this section, we will discuss the concept of individualism and collectivism, two cultural orientations that profoundly affect how societies function and individuals interact within them. We will also talk about misconceptions about rituals. So we will discuss some common misconceptions about rituals. We will challenge the idea that rituals are outdated or irrelevant, highlighting their role in modern society and their psychological benefits. We will also talk about practical options for personal rituals as self-care practices. So we will wrap up with practical options for personal rituals. We will focus on how we can integrate these rituals into our daily life to foster health and happiness. Um, our goal today is not just to impart knowledge, but to inspire you to integrate these insights into your daily life by understanding the deep impact of cultural frameworks and embracing practical rituals. You can significantly enhance your well being and enrich your personal and professional relationship. As we move through today's presentation, I encourage you to think about your own experiences and observation about how culture has influenced your behavior and mental health. This will not only make our session more interactive, but also more personally relevant and enriching. With this context in mind, let's start by defining more precisely what we mean by cultural frameworks. Let's begin by unpacking what we mean by cultural frameworks. These frameworks are like lenses through which we view the world. They consist of the overarching norm and values that guide how we live, work, and interact with others. These cultural values influence everything from our behavior in social settings to our responses to life challenges. Individualism, predominant in Western cultures such as the United States, Canada, and much of Europe, values personal independence and achievement. It emphasizes the right and importance of the individual over the group. In individualistic societies, people are expected to be self reliant and to pursue personal success aggressively. The cultural narrative encourages like standing out from the crowd and reward innovation and personal achievement. And while this can foster a strong sense of autonomy and encourage personal growth, it also comes with its challenges. The drive for personal achievement can lead to higher levels of stress and anxiety. This is often a competitive edge to daily life, which can strain mental health and personal relationship. Additionally, the emphasis on individual success can sometimes lead to a weakening of community bonds and a sense of isolation, as communal systems are undervalued in a way. Now, think to understand this more. Think about the last time you felt pressure to achieve a personal goal. How did that affect your stress level and your relationship with others? Now, looking into collectivism. Collectivism is more prevalent in parts of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and Southern and Eastern Europe, places that where it places the group at the center of its value system. So the welfare and harmony of the group, whether it's community, family, or the entire society, is considered more important than individuals' aspirations and goals. In collective culture, individuals are encouraged to think and act as members of a group that rather than isolated units. There is a strong emphasis on sharing, cooperation, and group harmony. Achievements are viewed as a collective effort and celebrated as such. This focus on community and family support can provide a powerful buffer against the stressors of life, as individuals feel supported and valued by a larger network. However, it can also lead to separation of personal desires and ambitions for the sake of group consensus, which can affect individual autonomy and sometimes lead to frustration or a lack of personal fulfillment. Additionally, the pressure to conform to group norms can lead to internal conflicts if personal beliefs or desire move away from the expected group norms. So to think about that or reflect about that. Consider a time when your desires or goals were in conflict with with your group's expectations. How did you handle that situation? What was the impact of that on your mental well-being? With these frames defined and their implications discussed, let's move into understanding how these cultural orientation manifest in everyday practices, particularly through rituals, which play a significant role in reinforcing these cultural values and affecting our overall mental health. Um, as we transition into cultural framework to individual practices, let's delve deeper into the role of rituals in mental well-being. Rituals are not merely repetitive routines. They are imbued with cultural significance and carry emotional weight. They can range from ceremonies to everyday habits like a morning run or evening meditation. Um, Across different cultures, rituals can serve as a cornerstone for communal and personal life. In collectivist societies, ritual often involve community gathering and celebrations that reinforce group bonds and shared values. For example, the traditional tea ceremonies in Japan or group sessions in various contexts are not just about the act itself, but about fostering community and harmony. In individualistic cultures, personal rituals such as journaling or personal fitness routines play a major role in self definition and personal achievement. These rituals help individuals manage stress and structure their personal goals. Rituals provide a predictable structure, which is deeply comforting. Knowing what to expect and when to expect it can significantly reduce the stress and anxiety. This predictability restores a sense of control in our very much chaotic lives. Engaging in rituals can be a form of emotional regulation. So, some rituals involve practices meant to soothe and calm the mind, which can help manage feelings of anxiety or depression. And regular engagement in structured activities, especially those involving physical or mindfulness practices, can boost cognitive functioning and emotional stability. The repetitiveness or repetition involved in rituals can also enhance this effect, as the familiarity of the activity can reduce cognitive load allowing the mind to, in a way, relax. So when we think about examples of rituals in daily life, just think about making your bed each morning. This act, while seeming like it seems trivial, can set a tone of order and accomplishment for the day. In the same way, evening routines like reading before bed and or for some people, they would plan next day's task can provide a sense of closure and readiness for rest. In a way that could improve sleep quality and mental readiness for the coming challenges. In more communal settings, rituals can be such as sharing meals during holidays or even regular community volunteer days can create feelings of belonging and purpose. These rituals reinforce social ties and provide regular intervals of social support and engagement. So take a moment to reflect on your daily routines. Which of these could be considered rituals? How do they influence your mood and productivity? How mind altering or enhancing these rituals um, play a role in improving your mental well being? As we move forward, consider how you might more consciously engage with or introduce rituals into your life to harness these benefits. As we consider the impact of rituals on mental health, it's essential to recognize their social dimensions. Rituals are not just personal or salutary practices. They more than often involve significant social aspects that are crucial for mental health, fostering strong community and family bonds. Many rituals serve as means of integrating individuals into their communities, reinforcing shared values and cultural norms. For example, community festivals, public celebrations are all forms of rituals that strengthen communal bonds and the what's called like a collective identity. On a more intimate scale, family rituals such as dinners, weekend family outings, or bedtime stories, they are not just bonding experiences, but they are crucial for teaching social norms, ethic, behaviors to younger generations. So one example to think about is to consider the ritual of a family dinner. It is not just about the nourishment of food, but it also is about emotional and psychological nourishment that comes from shared experiences. These moments allow for exchange of ideas, solving conflict, expression of love and support, which all in a way reinforces emotional connections among family members. The consistency of such gathering helps establish a routine that all family members can rely on, providing a sense of security and belonging that is fundamental to emotional well-being. When we think about the psychological impact of social rituals, we know that engaging in social rituals has been shown to significantly impact our emotional well-being. These activity help mitigate feelings of loneliness and isolation by providing regular contact. The supportive nature of this interaction play a role in stress reduction and contribute to long-term resilience against depression and anxiety and other psychological issues. Um, Different cultures emphasize different social rituals, each with unique benefits. In many Mediterranean cultures, extended family gatherings are frequent and of the norm. Nordic cultures, outdoor group activities can be the norm, and this is all like fine. It's just different ways, different cultures, how they view rituals. Um, so think about your own life and the social rituals you participate in. What role do they play in your mental health? What are these, what rituals other countries that you see value might you see value in, and it might enhance your own social and emotional well-being. These are some of the statistics that are reported about social isolation, and it's just something important to reflect on that. For example, in the United States, 43% felt that their relationships are not meaningful. 43 said that they felt isolated from others, and 39% no longer feel close to anyone. In Australia, 70% of the general population were classified as socially isolated. In Canada, 1 of every 4 older adults are socially isolated. As a case study for that, we will look into the pattern or the behavior of alcohol consumption. Let's explore how the context of cultural conception of alcohol consumption affects behavior and psychological impact. The way alcohol is consumed, whether in social gathering or in solitude, has significant implication for mental health and societal norms. So in many cultures, drinking alcohol is a social activity integrated with rituals and celebrations, such as a toast at a wedding or shared bottle of wine at dinner. These traditions often come with in a way, unwritten rules about acceptable behavior and moderation. The communal aspect of drinking can enhance feelings of belonging, reduces stress, and inhibiting overconsumption due to the element of peer regulation. And that is because we are, in a way, we are social creatures. In contrast, when we look at solitary drinking, it's often empty of these social checks and can lead to higher consumption level. This is why it's frequently associated with attempting to cope with emotional distress, loneliness, or depression. Isolated drinkers are more at higher risk of developing alcohol related disorders. The lack of moderation and increased frequency of drinking alone can accelerate the progression to alcohol dependency. This is highlighted in a recent study that looked into individuals who drink alone and highlighted that they are significantly more likely to develop alcohol use disorder than those who drink primarily in social setting. And in a way, this is important that for us, when we recognize these patterns, there are risks associated with solitary drinking, and in a way, this can help us promote more reasonable drinking habit, highlights the risks of solitary consumptions. A lot of research also talks about how that really was very present in the community during COVID-19 pandemic, where people really struggled with social isolation. So there is an element of the need to build strong social support network that can also be preventative, and provide individual with alternative ways to manage stress and emotional distress without resorting to harmful drinking habits. In the context in which the alcohol is consumed profoundly influences both individuals' mental health and the broader societal health. And by understanding these dynamics and promoting um, less risky risk associated with harmful drinking, it's important to keep in mind the influence of socialization. When we let's explore the now the deeply ingrained cultural practices and how values influence eating behaviors and contribute to prevalence of eating disorders. The differences between individualistic and collective societies offer significant insight into how societal norms can impact individual health. For example, in individualistic societies, such as in United States, Canada, and much of Western Europe, there's a strong emphasis on personal achievement and appearance. This societal focus can often lead to an unhealthy preoccupation with body image, which is significantly correlated with the development of eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia. The constant pressure to perform to societal standards is also, especially standards relating to beauty and success, can lead to stress and anxiety and low self-esteem, which are common triggers for disordered eating behaviors. And this the social isolation that often accompanies those pressures make individuals more vulnerable to developing these disorders. In society where communal eating is a common practice, such as in many Asian and Mediterranean countries, there tends to be a stronger emphasis as food as part of the social life and cultural identity. The communal aspect of eating not only reinforces family bonds, but serves as a check against extremes of eating disorders. Shared meals ensures that eating behaviors become a supportive social activities where the focus is on togetherness, rather than calorie counting or dietary restrictions. Studies have demonstrated that communal eating can lead to better dietary choices, improved nutritional intake, and even lower levels of eating disorders. The practice of eating alone is often one of those topic that are very much it influence people's health, because there is not much uh, recognition of the importance of the idea of food and in social setting. So I'll just go over this video that really discusses this in a way.
I firmly believe that how and what we eat is who we are. I think it was Bertrand Russell who said there is no more sincere love than the love of food.
I think that, to me, food is a looking glass into that culture, wherever you're at, whatever country or city or even neighborhood in the states that you're in, to understand where the locals eat, to go and try that, read the menu, go to the market, you really understand who those people are.
The drive towards taste and flavor is the elemental part of us, because anyone who's seen a newborn baby knows that the first thing after breathing the baby wants to do is feed. So it's who we are, and it's absolutely can't be separated. And I think that that's why we have slightly separate tastes. We like certain different foods, which is why eating the food of someone else's childhood can be fabulously exciting, because everyone has a different truth, just like everyone has a slightly different personality.
In the best way, food can connect us and tell a story about why we eat the way we eat. And you want to invite a friend into that conversation and that dinner, and in a prideful way saying, hey, we eat this part, and we cut our meat this way. Isn't that great? You know?
Food has that common denominator that allows us to slow down and enjoy life and smell the coffee, so to say.
We're all original, and yet we share so much. So food is the one common language. It doesn't matter with you when you speak. You speak French, you speak German, you speak Chinese. The one common language we have is food, and that connects us all.
So when we think about that, an important way to look into that and to understand the impact of that is to look into results from a study that was done in Canada. And the study is interesting because it showed that 68% of Canadians eat lunch by themselves. So more than half, and also 67%, so again, more than half, said that they eat breakfast alone most of the time. And 24% reported that they do not engage in conversations during when with other family member during meal times. So this helps us to understand how that really affect the mental health of people when they are basically eating alone and very much isolated in that way. So let's talk about where that might have come from. So the idea of stigmatization of rituals, and how does that play a role into people's feelings about rituals and why they might not consider them as important. The Enlightenment, often referred to as the Age of Reason. It was an important movement in the 17th and 19th and 18th centuries because it emphasizes reason, science, individualism over tradition. It promoted a worldview that is anchored in scientific discovery and empirical evidence. Now, this period led to significant shifts in societal values. Traditional rituals and practices that were once important part of daily life and community cohesion began to be viewed under the lens of skepticism and critique. Many rituals that were deeply integrated into the communal life were labeled as backward or as superstitious. So, rituals ranging from communal gathering, seasonal festivals, uh, became to see even practices for around grieving began to see a decline. In many Western societies, this rationalist view led to a diminished role of these traditions, which were increasingly seen as incompatible with a new rational scientific approach to life. So the erosion in a way of these ritual practices had profound effect on community dynamics. Because they do not only serve as cultural expression, but they are vital mechanisms of social bonding and collective identity. So there could decline contributing to weakening of community ties, and for many people, that loss of a shared sense of belonging. And as community lost these shared practices, individualism became more as the norm, often at the cost of support networks. This shift has been linked to increased feelings of isolation and just associated with, and this was all associated with the various mental health issues. Because rituals often provide individuals with a sense of predictability and control over their environment. They mark life's passages, celebrate the up and down, and provide solace in times where it's slow. Without these anchors, individuals may find it challenging to cope with life transitions and stresses. So, recognizing the value of rituals in providing psychological stability and community cohesion, there is a growing need to integrate meaningful practices into modern life, whether through re-initiating community festivals, or modernizing traditional rituals, or just new rituals that embrace contemporary values. With that integration, we can hopefully restore some of those lost benefits. So there are some consequences to the decline of rituals. So first, the research that talks about that attend that once the acceleration of that rationalist mindset of the Enlightenment continued into the modern era, there is a noticeable void in societal and personal practices. With the absence of these structured rituals, the research talks about the fact that many individuals turn into unhealthy coping mechanisms. So, for instance, self-harm, which might be used as a method to gain control over one's emotion, to regulate emotions. Also, substance abuse, because it can also serve as an escape from feeling of pain and disconnection, isolation. Another element it's interesting that research highlights is that excessive materialism is another behavior that has surged as a way to compensate in the race to basically fill the emptiness left by meaningful communal interactions. People started seeking material accumulation. So they started trying to gather things, and they're in a way mistaking it for happiness or fulfillment. And while these behaviors might provide temporary distraction, they do not address the underlying need for community identity Instead, they often exacerbate feelings of loneliness. So when recognizing that the profound impact of rituals loss, there is a need to reintegrate beneficial rituals. This include designing rituals that accommodate modern lifestyles and use benefits of, for example, technology while preserving the basic social functioning. So, for example, one thing is that digital platforms often host virtual gatherings, and in a way, it can replicate the community aspects of traditional gathering. Fitness and wellness apps encourage daily rituals, can also be beneficial. And sometimes people nowadays use workplace rituals like regular team building retreats or mindfulness session. So it's just that to keep in mind that reintegrating such rituals is important, while just being mindful of how to do that without taking that element of a human connectedness. So let's look into strategies. So practical strategies for encouraging ritual adaptation. So first, we'll look into identifying essential elements. So by that, we mean analysis of ritual components. So that happens by starting to understand what elements of traditional rituals are most beneficial and meaningful to you. So it could be, is it gathering of people that brings you joy? Is it the act of mindfulness? Is it the celebration of a milestone that brings you a sense of achievement? And that can differ from one person to another. So, for example, if there is a holiday celebration and that is gathered with people you care about, focus on this aspect rather than on the preparation of the event, which might be more stressful and less feasible at times. So yeah, this is one aspect that could be changed and integrated. Another one is, in a way we touched upon a bit, is incorporating technology, but the idea in here is that that needs to be done wisely. So the idea in here that most researchers now, when they talk about that, they talk about the importance of enhancing and not replacing. So the use of technology to enhance the experience rather than replacing fundamental human interaction that are crucial to to us as a human being. Technology must be a tool that facilitates, not a replacement for rich human connections. So, for example, utilizing like video call platforms to share family dinner experiences with maybe distant relatives when like physical gathering is not possible is one good idea. Yeah, another aspect would be creating new rituals. So being innovative based on current needs. So consider how you would create new rituals that resonate with contemporary values and lifestyle. So this innovation can help maintain the psychological benefit of rituals in a way that fits your modern daily life. So for example, let's talk about mini cleaning routine. So establish a short daily cleaning rituals that help maintain a clean living space, reduce stress, and provide a sense of accomplishment. And again, this is something that for many people they might see as trivial, but research shows a great significant change in stress level when that is done by people. Another thing is that for example, like community service days. So organizing and participating in a community service activity, even if that's done once a month, can foster a sense of community and belonging. The other thing is that for some people, they like doing meditation sessions, and this can happen daily and every other day. And it really and it reduces the stress, it enhances mindfulness, and It can be integrated into modern schedules, so it doesn't need to be something like a half an hour. It could be only 10 minutes. So whatever fits your schedule. The other thing is adapting for modern context. So simplify whenever needed. Adapting ritual to fit modern lifestyle, because there are so many constraints in our life. This means modifying tradition to make them more accessible and less time consuming. So, for example, if gathering for dinner every night is too challenges because work schedules, committing to a weekly family meal can preserve the ritual, the intent of bonding and togetherness without that daily pressure. Again, it's supposed to be a change that foster less stress and better bondness with other family members, not increasing that stress. Thank you so much for listening to me today. As we conclude our session today, I want to encourage each one of you to integrate the insight from today into your personal and professional life. Consider the ritual that are meaningful to you, and think about how you could adapt or reinforce those practices that support your being. And thank you again for your attention. I hope this discussion was not only informative but also like inspiring and maybe motivational for positive change in how we approach mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dalal. I can definitely say it was informative and inspiring, and I feel motivated to really reflect on the ways that culture and rituals integrated in my own life. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. We can take a couple of questions, but for those of you who might not be able to stick around, I want to thank you again for joining us and let you know that you are always welcome to join us for these talks, and wish you a good evening. Thank you.